Hello and welcome back to the Lee's Summit Town Hall podcast. I'm your host, Nick Parker. With me, as always, after one whole year.
An entire year
Liesl
of Liesl Hayes. Hello, Lee Summit.
Happy podversary.
Thank you.
This is actually, it's a week later.
It is.
Your official podversary.
It was, what day was it? You always remember.
It was the 9th.
The 9th, okay.
I only noticed because I looked it up a long time ago and I put it like on a calendar so I wouldn't forget.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That way you can relentlessly pick on me on this day. Is that your goal?
Basically.
That's what I thought.
But before I pick on you, I want to remind everybody the podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Budget Blinds of Lee's Summit. Awesome people running an awesome store. They are your home for signature series shades.
I was actually there yesterday. So again, the Stoddards do so much for our community too. So they actually had an event. It was after hours. It was with the chamber. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
That's awesome. Is the display up?
Yes, the display was up. And you know, those robot shades are kind of amazing.
The robot shades are amazing, but really what's amazing is their Christmas display in the windows.
Oh, I know.
I mean, you, Liesl, the aficionado of Hallmark Christmas Land.
Yes. It makes me very happy.
Like, I'm surprised that they haven't just made like a little Hallmark drive-in theater in that little thing for you. Just
that
for you.
Would be really cool. Maybe I just need to order it, and then like 1 year, just when they're not looking, just like put it in the big display.
Or just, you know what? Hey, Mr. Jim Stoddard, we're putting this in your ear right now. A Hallmark movie watching area needs to be put in the scene for next year.
Perfect. We'll have to do that at the tree lighting for sure.
So look, hey, go if you're ready to make your home a smart home. Go see our friends at Budget Blinds. Tell them Liesl and Nick sent you.
Nice.
I did it right.
You did do it right. You did do it right.
Okay, here we are. Really, I don't have anything planned. I know I wanted to tease you and really torture you, but I don't have a whole lot planned for you. But
that would have required preparation on your part, and we all know
a lot more.
That's not your strength, and it's good.
I did want to take a little bit of time today before we get into a couple other things. A little bit of time just to say thank you to you for taken over as the co-host of this show. You have been an incredible addition to the show. I love how you come in and you've taken a new way for us to interview people and to talk to people. It's been a lot of fun, and I think some insightful conversations have happened.
I don't even know what to do when you're being nice to me. It's like I sit in my chair and I'm like, oh yes, I'm trying to receive these compliments. I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed being on the show, and I'm so glad that you text me and wanted me to be on the show, because that's obviously what happened.
That's a lie.
It's not a lie from my vantage point.
Look, we've joked about this on here before that I made a semi-vague book post on the social medias that Jason Norbury was leaving the show, and like in 30 seconds I got a text message. Now look, you had been doing the Monday news version episodes of the podcast for a couple of years.
Yeah, probably a couple of years at that time point.
Right. So, you were familiar with the show. We already had kind of some comfort level and banter together that we did. I am curious, and you did a whole episode where you made me talk about myself, and I still am uncomfortable.
I know, it's my favorite episode. Like it is my favorite episode, just so you know. I'm
really uncomfortable with
I know.
But I'm curious as to why. I mean, like I have a journalism background. Like interviewing people, talking to people is that's my wheelhouse. That's what I've been trained to do. It's what I've done for darn near 30 years. When Jason convinced me to start the podcast, basically because, as I've told the story, he didn't want to write a column, and so we decided to try this. But he has a big passion for local government, for economic development. He also likes to prove to everybody that he's usually one of the smartest people in the room.
That is true. That is a Jason trademark.
His ego played a lot in that.
Yeah.
I love you, Jason. So that fit, but I'm curious. Like you are from your college training was to be a science nerd. You are an HR executive. Yes, you are an author. You write. So I know you know storytelling, but I never understood what drew you to this.
That's a good question. See, you put me on the spot, but I think what really drew me to this was I really enjoy listening to other people's stories. That is just something that personally I've just done kind of naturally my whole life. I mean, I was telling you today that I had a conversation at a doctor's appointment and like basically ended up providing someone sort of therapy today. So I think for me,
that's right. That's what we're telling people. Listen to our show. We're therapists.
we are therapists. No, do not take our advice. Please do not. But that being said, I think for me, a big part of it was just being able to be closer to the community, to be able to listen to really good stories of all of the incredible people that make up Lee Summit. And I just really enjoy doing that with you. I mean, it's inspiring, the people we have on here, and it makes it fun to come to work, which, you know, that sounds cheesy, but I don't
call this work.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't feel like work.
It's not. It's not, because we get to take, you know, a couple hours a week and talk to people and let them, or convince them to tell their stories. You ask questions differently than me. I have noticed that we come at it from different angles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about us. And it took us a while to kind of get our flow down when we were interviewing. Remember in the beginning, we were just kind of like, oh, this is kind of awkward. Is he going to talk? Am I going to talk? And then sometimes like we'd look at each other and it'd be like, oh, okay.
I was always a little nervous about taking over too much. I wanted to make sure you had your space.
Yes.
But also, I'm like, she didn't ask that question. I need to ask it.
You were like, I have to ask this question. Liesl did not come with her pre-prepared list.
Well,
actually, you and I never
You weren't reading my mind is really more what it was.
Yes, definitely.
Have you had some favorites?
I do. So one of my favorites is actually the episode that we did recently that was really hard, as we talked about, you know, and that was when Kara came in, and also Karen, a cancer survivor. And we just talked about all of the amazing things she's doing as a tattoo artist to help women get their bodies back after having cancer. And so for me, those kind of stories are the ones where, you know, it's all like warm and tingly, and you're just such a good human for existing and doing this thing for other people. And so, yeah, I think that one's definitely up there in my top.
I like those, and I think it goes past the warm and tingly. That's kind of the easy answer. I like the fact that it's hard. Now, that was personally a harder one for me, and you and I actually talked a lot offline because I was worried about even posting it, because it got difficult. But I also like those. I tend to enjoy the ones that are harder.
Yeah.
Or the ones that maybe are harder to get people to listen to.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So what's one of your favorites from this past year?
From this past year? I'm going to stick with the warm and fuzzy right off the top of my head. You brought in actually somebody that you've worked with on some boards before.
Oh, my gosh, yes, Meredith.
You brought in Meredith Rose. That was just right up my alley. That was my wheelhouse. So just somebody doing good.
Yes.
And I think that's the fun of this show, is there are so many people that do good for the community.
Right. They do. And sometimes they're not always the ones that are put like front and center. And I think that's also what I like, because sometimes you and I sit down with people that maybe, you know, they're not the person that's at every single event that everybody knows, but they're doing really, really cool things in our community. And I love that we can showcase them.
Right. Yeah, I think, you know, every community has, and I've covered a lot of different communities, and they all have the same, you know, 25, 50 people that are, right? I mean, there's always a core group that are involved in everything. They're in the chamber, they're in the Rotary, they're in the whatever, all these different groups. They're on the mayoral appointed committees. They're on, you know, right?
Absolutely.
And those are amazing people, and we talk to a lot of them too, so I'm not trying to discount them, but it's a fun challenge to go find those that are the next level and the next level down, because there are still so many people. And in our community, we've talked about this a lot. I think even our last couple episodes where we've said one of the cool things about Lee Summit is if somebody says a need, people show up.
Oh, absolutely. It happens all the time. And so I think That's one of the best parts about living here. You and I always talk about this, but ultimately you can get to know your neighbors. You can get to know your friends. You can get to know your friends. What was that? You can get to know your friends.
You're learning to talk still.
I am learning to talk still. And you can get to know your government officials. And I love that about Lee Summit. It's a good place.
All right. Well, that's going to lead to the next thing, because you made me talk about this when you flipped the tables. On me, right?
I don't remember now.
Well, you asked me why we, at that point, because you were new and we hadn't covered the candidates.
Right.
And so you just said you get to know the government officials. We were talking about that.
And we did.
You told me just recently you're ready.
I am ready.
You want to talk. You want to go meet candidates when they start filing and running for getting ready for the next spring election.
I do. I think I've gotten to the point where I also feel pretty comfortable here. And I think, you and I obviously have evolved over this past year too, just to get comfortable with each other, having dialogue, having a conversation, all the things. But yeah, I think that I'm ready, but I'm also ready in the way in which I would like us to get to know the candidates on more of a personal level. Because I think that's your goal. A lot of the times when you sit down with those candidates is to humanize them and connect people to the individuals that represent our community, because ultimately they have the most impact on what goes on in our town. And I think sometimes we forget that and we get really caught up in national politics, state politics, and those things are obviously important as well. But the city council, the mayor, they have more of an impact on our lives in the day-to-day in Lee Summit. So I think you've kind of opened my eyes to that, and I really like that. I enjoy being informed about it too.
I like that. I think you're spot on with my hope there is that we've always said you can affect more change here in your backyard you can anywhere else. And I think we have to remember, we have to be reminded, especially after the last few elections, we have to be reminded these people running for local office are our neighbors, our friends. They, we see them at the local coffee shop. We might go to a church with them. Our kids might play soccer together, or all of these things. And so it's not just bullet points and vitriol of whatever the political talking points du jour are.
Well, and I think one of the things that you talked about that kind of burned you out was the fact that, locally we started attaching on to specific issues or a party, and not specific issues so much, because obviously all candidates,
they were very
I'm talking about
issues
that are really impacted at more of the national or state level,
yes.
that we're talking about the local level, and we have no sway over those decisions.
Right. They may or may not even have anything going on here locally.
Yeah, and the point of those elections is that it's not political.
No.
It's not about someone being a Republican or a Democrat or whatever other party. Tea Party. I just want to say Tea Party because I think it sounds fun.
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
The Tea Party's not? I think it still should be. Not really. No, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. Not at all. It's fine. It's good. All I think about with the Tea Party is the Boston Tea Party. That's literally it. And you know what? Sometimes I'm going to tell you that when my taxes come around, I also want to throw tea into an ocean. So there's that.
Are you a tea drinker, Liesl Hayes?
I am, but only in the winter. Usually only in the winter and the fall.
Do you have a favorite tea?
Peppermint for sure.
Peppermint for sure.
Peppermint for sure. And then this is not going to surprise you, but there's this really good cranberry orange peel. Oh, and hot cinnamon spice.
So basically anything that goes with a holiday themed movie.
Basically. That wasn't intentional, but apparently it just happened. Do you like tea? I don't think I even know if you like tea.
Actually, I do. I do. I grew up a hot tea drinker. My mother loves the hot tea, and so
okay.
She doesn't like the coffee, so we grew up really without coffee in the house.
Yeah.
This will date myself and my family, but we had a grandmother who she kept in the freezer a jar of Senka.
Oh my god.
The old instant coffee mix.
Oh my god.
But it was kept in the freezer just for her visits because my mother did not have coffee.
That's actually really funny. Oh my god, instant coffee. Yeah. I remember. I think they still do
is
make
Senka
instant.
Still a thing?
I have no idea. I know they still make instant coffee. Starbucks made them a while back, and I I used to take them when I would go on hiking trips because I just like throw it in my water bottle and just shake it up. I was like, look, we have cold coffee or lukewarm, depending on when
air
it
quotes
was.
around hiking?
That was actually, I like to hike a lot. And the problem with me in hiking is I usually get lost, which is like a really negative. Why pick a hobby when you're like so directionally challenged?
You could just stay on the trail.
But okay, in Arizona, in certain places like Joshua Tree, trails are not quite as obvious as you would think they would be. And that is all I'm going to say about that. Because I remember at one point walking 6 miles and I got lost and then literally like had an Uber come pick me up in Joshua Tree. It was pretty cool. You're never going to catch me on the side of the road, like dehydrated. I am going to be the hiker who's like, okay, we got to do something now. It's 6 miles. It's going to get dark soon.
Well, we're going to have a story, I think, for the Patreon supporters.
Oh, yes. Yes.
If we had a Patreon, we'd have extra content.
Yes,
for
that's fair.
All about Liesl's getting lost.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, I appreciate. I just wanted to ask you a few questions, but really, I just wanted to say thanks. It's been a good year. I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more too.
You're awesome. Well, you know what? I'm thankful for you. That leads us to no show next week. We're gonna take the week off. It's Thanksgiving, but of things we're thankful for, you coming on the show.
Well, I'm thankful for you too, Nick.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, look.
Lord.
We actually had a moment where we were very nice to each other.
The other thing I wanted to do in today's episode was I wanted to remind everybody that on Friday, it's Mayor's Tree Lighting.
It is the best night of the year in downtown Lee Summit, at least in my opinion.
You know what? If you are a Lee Summit resident, this has to be at a minimum in your top 5 days of the year, right?
Yeah, and if you haven't gone, you have to go and experience it at least one time.
It's like a freaking TV show, right?
It is. It's a Hallmark Christmas movie.
It's a Hallmark.
It really
what's
is.
the show you love?
Oh, the Gilmore Girls. Yeah,
yes.
it's very Stars Hollow.
It's very, and look, it is just, you hear a lot of people always, let's keep Lee Summit a small town. This is the most small town moment of every year that you'll get. It is just, it's fun. A couple of the streets are closed down. Everybody's hanging out on Southeast Main Street.
There are lights everywhere. I mean, they have been hanging them for like 3 weeks now.
3 weeks now.
3 weeks.
The decorations are, so the mayor's tree will light up. All the buildings around downtown and the trees on the streets will light up. And everybody's just hanging out outside, having a good time. There's music. There's all sorts of fun. Santa comes.
They also have living windows, too.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. A lot of the stores participate in living windows where they basically have fun Christmas scenes. And this year, the theme is a Toy Story.
Toy Story.
Yep.
And there are also a bunch of windows painted that were designed by students from the LSR 7 school district.
Yeah, I saw someone out yesterday painting one of the windows, and I was like, oh my gosh, so talented.
I mean,
like snowmen, amazing. Yeah.
It's so cool. It really is. It's just kind of, it's that, the holidays are officially here. Everybody's having a good time. And really, downtown never looks better than during the holiday season.
Yeah, and
All
it's
the
a
lights.
totally free event. I mean, I think that's the other thing that we have to remember. It's a free event. Usually, when does it start, Nick? At 6?
6 o'clock, everybody starts hanging out. The lights go on at 6:30, I believe. And then, I mean, it's fun. You can just bring your family down, bring your loved ones, have a good time. Yeah, I mean, it is free, but we encourage you. Go spend some money at the local businesses and restaurants,
absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
Let's support our neighbors down there and stuff. But it's a really good time.
And then one more tip, because I know everyone complains about parking in downtown. There is a parking garage at 2nd and Green. It's right next to City Hall, and it doesn't look like a public parking garage, but it is. It's a really good place to park and then just walk down to the festival.
I mean, very few of us like to actually walk, but come on, there's lots of parking available.
Oh, yeah,
There's
and I think the weather's
garage.
supposed to be nice,
The weather's
actually.
gonna be
It's not going to
nice.
be freezing.
There's public parking behind Stewie's at 4th Street. There's public parking. We're here at Bridge Space. There's public parking right next door to us. Lots of places for you to park and walk in. So everybody come down, have a good time. I want to bring up one last, free event. Coming up in December, our annual Story Time with Santa Night is coming up. That's our partnership that we do every year with Budget Blinds. And Santa comes, you can get your pictures taken. He's going to read some of his favorite stories.
You don't have to wait in like a ridiculously long line like you do at department stores or different places. I mean, you're still going to wait a little bit, but it's nothing like when you take your kids to stores that will remain unnamed where you literally have to wait forever.
No,
So.
and you're hanging out in magical, holiday lit up downtown Lee Summit.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it goes to a good cause, right, Nick? Who's our philanthropy this year?
This year we are supporting Prodeo Youth Center. So if you go to go to santa.link2leesummit.com, you can see a list of suggested donations for Prodeo. They will also take gift cards and cash.
Yeah, they are a great organization that fills a significant need in our community. And if you don't know about Prodeo, go to their website and check them out because they do a lot of really cool things in this community. And I think a lot of us are aware of them, but we don't know all the things they do. So
Absolutely. And they are launching a big campaign to get a new building. So
oh, yes, I heard about that.
Be a giant, not giant, but there's going to be a nice facility just for Prodeo. They've been sharing space for several years now, and now they're going to have their own facility. So this is our only youth center in the community, so it's an important one. We want to support them, but also come see Santa.
Yeah, come see Santa and budget blinds and
Also-
robot shades.
Also, I want to let everybody know I know Santa.
You personally know
I
him.
personally
I do
know
too.
Santa.
You introduced me to him.
I know.
I mean, you're pretty legit.
I decided that you could get in the club.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
The Friends of Santa Club.
I mean, all you really wanted to do was, we all know you're on the naughty list and I'm on the nice list. So you were just trying to be like, look, Santa, I have friends who are cool and good, right? Yeah.
Look, Santa knows that I'm not above bribery.
Yeah. I get it.
All right, that'll wrap us up for this week. We hope to see everybody Friday night for the tree lighting. We'll talk to you next time.